Very good evening, dear friends, and welcome to this program again. Yesterday, we were discussing about the incorporation of a company, and then I told you a very lovely discussion we had yesterday. I told you that sections 7, 8, 9, and 10 are very much relevant, and then 11 was repealed, and 10A was reintroduced. 11 partly was reintroduced in 10A. This is the legal position. Actually, this came in 2019 amendment. 2018 ordinance again expired, then again that was repeated, and subsequently 2019 Amendment Act has come to vogue. I am going to give you a lot of material on amendments, and then slowly I will put them on WhatsApp. If possible, I will put them in YouTube. Otherwise, at least I will put them in the WhatsApp so that put a file and take prints of all that. Then you will have a very comprehensive outlook over the amendments and then up to date information on the Companies Act. Companies Act is such that 2013 it was reconstituted, 1956 Act, and so many amendments came subsequently. And then you find some amendments major in 2017, then again 18, and then they were repeated in 2019. And 2019 July, the Amendment Act has come in. So to have a more lively discussion, yesterday I wanted you to go into that kind of discussion we had, and I have to put that in YouTube. Have you seen it or not? I don't know. And then that was put into YouTube, in fact, today afternoon. So, friends, you have to understand for incorporation of a company, you have to file several documents. Out of that, two most important documents are one is the Memorandum of Association, and the another one is the Articles of Association. And then you find the enactment under Section 6 can override the memorandum and articles. And under Section 7, you have to carefully study in depth, at length. Section 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then one is Section 6 Act to override memorandum and articles. 7. Incorporation of a company where the several documents have been listed and the do's and don'ts and then other aspects, the powers of the NCLT, all these things, in fact, briefly I discussed yesterday. And I also told you about the section 10. But basically, in between 8 is there, that is equivalent to section 25 of the 1956 Act, that is formation of companies with the charitable objects where the word limited can be omitted. And then in research where you find interesting topics and you want to submit thesis on various aspects of Companies Act, you can always go through the provisions under 1956 Act in comparison with the 2013 Act, and also go through the parliamentary debates. When those provisions were made into enactments, what were the debates in the parliament are available in the parliament in books form called parliamentary debates. Those debates are available in our archives, Usmania University Library, PG College Library. If they are not available, try an assembly library. They are also not available. You can try directly with the Parliament bookstall and bookstores, and some of them can be purchased or you can go to Delhi, then get Xerox, especially for PhD thesis that is called Trio Preparatoire. That means Travaux Preparatories, which is otherwise meaning parliamentary debates. So those parliamentary debates will throw light upon how the parliament mind was while enacting these particular provisions and what was the basic intention. So for research purpose, that could be taken care of. So, friends, Section 8 is the equivalent of Section 25 under 1956 Act, and then Section 9 deals with the effect of registration, which I have already told you. That is the basic attributes of corporate personality taken under Section 9. Then, friends, the effect of memorandum and articles of association with regard to contracts and then the contractual obligations. Effect of memorandum and articles were stated under section, they are stated under section 10 of the Companies Act 2013. Then yesterday's discussion I triggered in order to initiate, you would go through the amendments and come back with a particular labor. So actually, Section 11 was repealed by the Companies Amendment Act 2015. But subsequently, what happened? Section 11 was partly reenacted, not fully. This is under Section 10A, which was inserted in the Companies Amendment Act 2019, and it was brought into force on 31st July 2019. The President's assent was given on 31st July 2019 and it was gazetted. Nowadays, all the amendments are available in the internet, and better you go to the website of MCA or directly also, and then you can get the Amendment Act, the Gazette publication, so that you will get authoritative information. So always you must go and see like this, the Gazette is given, the Gazette publication, so that it will be of great help to you. This is way you have to do research also tomorrow. You have to submit your thesis. Now, Section 10A is pertaining to commencement of business. 2015, the certificate for commencement of business was dispensed with subsequently. In fact, instead, a different provision has been reinstated. Let us slowly read and then understand what the provision is here. This is the discussion we had yesterday and a lively discussion we had in yesterday's session. So today I am consolidating and clarifying so that now a finale will come into that, no more doubts. All right. So now what the section says, friends, here it is stated that after section 10 of the Principal Act, the following section shall be inserted, that is 10A. So what is 10A? A company incorporated after the commencement of the Companies Amendment Act 2019 and having a share capital. Please remember, this is prospective but not retrospective. This is prospective but not retrospective. I repeat, this is how, my dear friends, at this higher level, you have to learn and interpret law. A company incorporated after the commencement of the Companies Amendment Act 2019. That means companies incorporated after these amendments were brought into force alone have to comply with this. Prior to that, those companies which were already incorporated after 2015 amendment need not follow this. The companies which were incorporated prior to 2015 amendment have to comply with commencement of business. With regard to the companies between 2015 amendment and 19 amendment, they need not be followed. And after 2019 amendment, which companies were incorporated must follow this. What they have to follow? A company incorporated after the commencement of the Companies Amendment Act 2019 and having a share capital, companies by guarantee need not follow. Companies by share, limited by shares must follow, shall not commence any business or exercise any borrowing powers unless a declaration is filed by a director within a period of 180 days of the date of incorporation of the company. 180 days to be counted from the date of incorporation of the company in such form and verified in such manner as may be prescribed with the registrar that every subscriber to the memorandum has paid the value of the shares agreed to be taken by him on the date of making such a declaration and the company has filed with the registrar a verification of its registered office as provided in subsection 2 of section 12. Under section 12(2), a provision has been made for verification of the registered office, and that has to be carried. Further, in fact, the company has filed with the registrar a verification. Further, that the subscriber paid the value of the shares. This is the old provision which is revived. That was meant for public limited companies. If any default is made in complying with the requirements of this section, the company shall be liable to a penalty of 50,000, and every officer who is in default shall be liable to a penalty of 1,000 rupees for each day during which such default continues, but not exceeding an amount of 1 lakh rupees maximum ceiling. Where no declaration has been filed with the registrar under clause A of subsection 1, within a period of 180 days of the date of incorporation of the company, and the registrar has reasonable cause to believe that the company is not carrying on any business or operations, he may, without prejudice to the provisions of subsection 2, initiate action for the removal of the name of the company from the register of companies under chapter 18. So, officers would be held liable, and there would be a penalty, and every officer, company is liable to pay penalty. Officers will be liable to pay penalty subject to 1 lakh rupees one day, each day 1,000 rupees. Apart from that, company may be struck off from the rolls, and the entire situation, I mean, the existence of the company would be brought to an end. I told you last time, the legal entity will come down with a closure only with a legal process. This is the due legal process of law. So, this is a very draconian law, I can say. The reason being, you have to first give a declaration to start business. Second thing, verification of registered office. This is a new provision. With regard to 11, revival is that particular declaration, verification is addition. Non-compliance, punishment to the company, punishment to the individual officers also. Apart from that, striking of the company from the rules. These are all the most important provisions. And friends, you tell me one small question I put now. Is this applicable to only public limited companies or both private and public?
Both private and public, sir.
Why?
Both private and public.
Both private and public.
Very good, very good. It is applicable to both private and public. Earlier, old law, it was applicable to
Public.
public limited. Private
Limit.
companies were exempted. It comes under one of the exemptions of private limited companies. They need not have to obtain certificate for commencement of business. But now the law is that this particular provision 10A is applicable to both private and public limited companies. Okay, na? Clear now? And then what is this particular provision that section 12, section 12(2), a reference was made with regard to verification. What is that verification? If the registrar has reasonable cause to believe the company is not carrying on business or operations, he may cause a physical verification of the registered office. And without prejudice to the provisions of subsection 8, initiate action for removal of the name of the company. So, the company does not commence its business and does not file this within 180 days. Most important, 6 months. 6 months is the time, 180 days. Days is very important from the date of incorporation. From the date of incorporation. So that this particular company would ultimately be brought to a close and end. So this is the most important provision, dear friends. And with this particular background, in fact, I close yesterday's discussion pertaining to the various formalities pertaining to the registration of a company. What are the formalities? So now, friends, with this background, we find that first you have to file necessary papers applicable, first obtain the availability of name, then file the document, then get the company incorporated. Whether it is private company or a public limited company, it has to file within 180 days the necessary compliance and then obtain a certificate for commencement of business. Then it can start off its operations. From the day the certificate for commencement of business is issued, the operations can commence. In fact, all these things can be done simultaneously also. Company need not wait for, no company inclined to do business will wait for 6 months. It will immediately start off and do the needful at the earliest. So, friends, with this particular background, I hope now you are clear. The next topic, what I have discussed subsequent to attributes of corporate personality and citizenship and all that, the formalities for incorporation of a company. The formalities are over. Starting, I repeat again, applicable with regard to availability of name. Next, with regard to the filing of documents, memorandum, articles, consent, and then various other documents. Then certificate of incorporation. Then certificate for commencement of business. Then the other proceedings will continue. And a declaration with regard to the subscription. Apart from that, with regard to verification of the registered office also. Please remember, any amendment comes, always take the gazette. Don't go by articles published in the internet. You must always download the gazette, see MCA website, and based on gazette publication, you have to proceed further. Some of the gazettes I have downloaded, I am going to put it in WhatsApp. You also do your bit of job, and all the gazettes which are necessary to be downloaded at your end also. Sometimes 1 or 2 pages missing, there could be, as I have got a very bulk responsibility because number of programs and my attendance in the High Court also regularly. In this process, 1 or 2 pages missing. So you also have to do exercise and compare. If anything is missing, any discrepancy, you must bring it to my notice and put it in WhatsApp again. So that is how you have to coordinate, cooperate with each other, and you have to complete this study with the coordination and cooperation of each and every student. So with this background, now I will take you back to the study of memorandum and articles of association. I will give you a brief introduction today that every company is supposed to have two most vital documents. One is called the Memorandum of Association, and then the other one is called the Articles of Association. In fact, memorandum means the charter of the company. Articles are the internal regulations. So the charter of the company is concerned, it is the constitution of the company. And then the Articles of Association deals with internal regulations as to the powers of the board, and then whatever is done beyond the powers of the board is ultra vires. Whatever is done beyond the scope of the memorandum of association is also ultra vires. Ultra vires means beyond, virus means powers, which would be ultimately untenable and illegal. Friends, I will take up one by one in future different classes, one class or two classes exclusively on memorandum of association, which is a conceptual study. Probably in YouTube, I will put it as study of memorandum and judicial decisions 1, 2, 3 like that. In the same way, articles of association 1, 2, 3 and like that. And I will put that in that particular format. And wherever the new amendments came, and those amendments 2019, 2017, these amendments have to be incorporated wherever it is necessary, and then we have to study our subject along with those amendments. So next time onwards, all the amendments would be put through for your information as and when it is necessary. So my next session on Monday we will skip. We'll have a session on Tuesday again, okay? Because Monday I have a meeting, I may not be available. So Tuesday again, same timing, and intimate to your friends that many of the friends are absent today. I don't know the reason. So please intimate all of them to be present so that nobody would miss this session, and discussion also would take place. That would be lively and it would be enjoying and enjoying. I want that type of approach. So please go ahead. And then on next occasion on Tuesday, I will start off with the Memorandum of Association. The memorandum is contained under Section 2, subsection 56 of the 2013 Act for definition purpose. And then there are judicial precedents identifying the purpose of Memorandum of Association. All these issues we are going to discuss at length and in depth. At length, in depth. And then, in fact, you carefully attend to these sessions. Mostly, you can directly write examination without much direct further preparation. Also, we take the notes that I'm putting it in YouTube to enable you to do this exercise as we are not available in the classroom. Now there is no difficulty. That particular difficulty is overtaken, I believe, overcome. In fact, we are more comfortable in this virtual than in classroom probably. So, in fact, we are more comfortable now in virtual. That is the reason why step by step we will proceed off. And I will deal with memorandum and articles of association. There are few concepts in between, and each of these concepts I will take up one by one for your benefit. And I will complete the unit 2 at the earliest possibility. So thank you very much then for today's discussion. And then we will come back. Meanwhile, please go through the Gazette 2019 amendments and then update yourself so that you would be very much upgraded with regard to the latest law. 2019 amendments are the latest. Okay, any 2020 amendments came? Any idea?
No idea.
2020 any amendments came?
No idea, sir.
No. It may come in the light of IBC. In the light of IBC, NCLT's powers are concerned with regard to suspension. The 2020 amendments ordinance will have to be taken into account. That is with IBC. So that also to be considered because with regard to winding up, with regard to the rehabilitation, IBC will come into picture. And basics of IBC we are going to study in this particular fourth unit. For that reason, whatever latest amendments come on IBC also must be assimilated. So you will have to take care of that. And what is the exact text language of IBC amendments we will have to see in future. So my dear friends, thank you very much. With this, we conclude the session today. And again, we will come back. Thank you very much. Good night to all of you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Sir,